On a cold Thursday evening in January 2024. In a small house in a quiet suburban neighborhood in Seattle, Washington, Emily Carter, whose name has been changed, was relaxing after a tiring day at work. Emily lived alone. She loved the peace and quiet of this place, although sometimes she felt a bit isolated. Her house was quite old, with large windows overlooking the garden and trees in the back. In the evening, after finishing her chores, Emily often video called friends or family to chat. Tonight, she decided to call Jessica, whose name has been changed, her best friend who lived in another state. Emily sat in her favorite armchair in the living room, where there was a large window right behind her. Outside, it was pitch black, with only the faint light from street lights and weak moonlight filtering through the trees. Emily opened her phone, found Jessica's number, and started a video call. After a few seconds of waiting, Jessica's smiling face appeared on the screen. "Hi Emily, how are you? How was your day?" Jessica asked, her voice full of cheerfulness. "Hi Jess, it was okay." Emily smiled. "Just a bit tired. Just finished dinner. Now relaxing here." They started chatting about work, about life, about little everyday things. Emily held her phone at a fixed angle, pointing the camera towards herself, with the living room and the large window behind her back in the frame. The conversation flowed naturally and comfortably. Emily felt happy talking to her best friend. She laughed. She shared funny stories, while Emily was enthusiastically recounting a humorous incident at work. She didn't pay attention to Jessica's face on the phone screen. Jessica was still listening, but her expression on her face gradually changed. From normal attention, Jessica's face suddenly became tense. Her eyes widened slightly, staring intently at the screen, no longer looking at Emily's face. Emily continued to talk, not noticing the worrying change on her friend's face. Jessica subtly frowned, seeming to try to see something more clearly. The atmosphere in the video call suddenly became strangely tense. Even though Emily was still talking normally, something terrifying was happening behind Emily's back. Something that only Jessica on the phone screen could see. And it was gradually taking shape. Emily was still engrossed in her story, unaware that Jessica on the other end of the line was experiencing intense shock. Jessica's face on the phone screen visibly paled. Her eyes widened, fixed on the screen, as if she was seeing something unbelievable. Jessica slightly opened her mouth, as if to scream, but no sound came out. Her hands trembled, gripping the phone tightly. Emily finally noticed Jessica's unusual silence. "Jess, what's wrong?" Emily asked, her voice full of worry. "Is something the matter?" Jessica didn't answer immediately. She was still staring intently at the screen, her eyes filled with horror. Emily felt a strange unease. She looked at Jessica's scared face. "Jess, say something. You're scaring me." Then, Jessica slowly raised her finger, pointing at the screen, at something behind Emily's back. Her hand was shaking uncontrollably. Emily," Jessica said softly, her voice trembling, almost a whisper. Behind you." Emily shivered. She turned her head to look at her phone screen. She saw Jessica's scared face. and her finger was pointing at the area behind her back in the frame. A sudden cold feeling engulfed Emily. She turned her head to look towards the large window behind her back. Outside, it was pitch black. Nothing was there, only the window pane reflecting the faint light from inside the room. "There's nothing there, Jess," Emily said, trying to reassure her friend and herself. "You must be mistaken. Maybe it's just a reflection of the light." But Jessica's face on the screen didn't change. Her horrified gaze was still fixed on a spot behind Emily's back in the frame. "No, not the light," Jessica said, her voice slightly higher, full of panic. Emily, there's something behind you. Right behind the window." Emily felt her heart pounding in her chest. She turned back to look at her phone screen again. She looked at the area behind her back in the frame. And then, she saw it too, in the darkness behind the window. Hidden among the shadows of the trees. A face slowly emerged. It was the face of a girl. Pale, with long black hair flowing down. The face was pressed against the window pane, looking straight into the room. The eyes of that girl, empty, soulless, and full of sadness or anger. The face didn't move, it just stayed there, staring at Emily through her phone camera. Emily screamed in horror and threw her phone to the floor. She backed away, hitting the wall forcefully, trembling all over. She couldn't believe what she had just seen. The face, that terrifying face, was right behind her back. Outside the window, Emily's panicked scream echoed from the phone that had been thrown to the floor. On the other end, Jessica was also screaming, calling Emily's name, but Emily couldn't hear. She was paralyzed by fear, staring intently at the large window behind her back. The darkness outside the glass seemed to be hiding something evil. The haunting face of that girl had been recorded. Undeniable evidence of a horrifying truth. Emily stood there, trembling, staring at the large window behind her. Her eyes were fixed on the spot where she had just seen that terrifying face in her phone frame. Outside, it was pitch black. She couldn't see anything clearly. But Emily sensed a presence there. Cold and evil. Jessica's screams from the phone on the floor still echoed, mixed with her own screams. Emily wanted to rush to pick up the phone, to talk to Jessica, but her legs seemed frozen in place. She just stood there, staring at the glass, feeling as if someone was staring back at her from outside the darkness. The air in the room suddenly became unusually cold. That coldness wasn't the normal coldness of a winter evening. It was a deep cold, as if coming from a grave. Emily sensed an invisible presence enveloping the room, a presence she had seen in that terrifying face. She wanted to cry, to scream, to have someone here with her. But she was alone in that house, facing something beyond understanding. She remembered that face, pale, empty eyes, a sad or angry expression. It was the face of a young girl. Why was she there? Why was she staring at her? Fear consumed Emily. She felt as if she was trapped in her own house. She slowly backed away, not daring to take her eyes off the window. She didn't want to turn her back to it. She bumped into a table, knocking over a few items. The small noise echoed in the eerie silence of the room. Jessica was still calling her name from the phone on the floor. Emily, are you okay? Answer me. Emily gathered all her strength, lunged towards the phone, and picked it up. Jessica's worried and scared face appeared on the screen again. Jess, I saw it, Emily said, her voice trembling, almost a whisper. That face. I saw it. Jessica's face seemed slightly relieved to hear Emily's voice. But the fear was still there. Are you okay? Is it still there? Emily turned her head to look towards the window. Darkness still prevailed. No face was visible anymore. I don't see it anymore, Emily said, but I feel it's still here, in the house. Just then, the video call suddenly disconnected. The phone screen turned black. Emily stared at the black screen. She was disconnected from the outside world, trapped in her house with that terrifying presence. She knew that darkness had taken over her house, and she didn't know if she could escape it. Fear consumed Emily. She was facing the worst nightmare of her life after the call was disconnected. Emily was left in her dark house, alone with intense fear. She didn't dare to go near the window anymore. She sat huddled on the floor, leaning against the wall, listening to every tiny sound. She knew she had to do something. She needed evidence. She needed to know she wasn't going crazy. Emily remembered that Jessica had seen the terrifying face through the camera on her phone. Perhaps Jessica had managed to record the screen of the call. Emily took out her phone, trying to call Jessica back. Her hands trembled as she made the call. After a few tries, the call connected. Jessica's worried face appeared on the screen again. Emily, thank God. Are you okay? Jessica asked, her voice full of relief and worry. The call got cut off so suddenly. I was scared to death. I saw it, Jess, Emily said, her voice hoarse. That face. I saw it. It was outside the window, right behind my back. Jessica took a deep breath. I know. I saw it. When you were talking. Did you manage to record the screen? Emily asked, her voice full of hope. I need proof. Jess, I need to know I'm not going crazy. Jessica was silent for a moment. Yes. I hit screen record. I don't know why I did that. It was just a reflex. Emily felt a small sense of relief creep into her fear. She had proof. Can you send me that footage? Emily asked. Yes, I'll send it right away, Jessica said. Emily waited. Time passed very slowly. The fear of that terrifying face still haunted her. Then, her phone signaled a new message. Jessica had sent the screen recording of the call. Emily opened the footage. She saw her own face talking on the screen, with the living room and the window behind her in the background. She watched until the moment Jessica went silent, her face changing expression. Emily also felt her heart beat faster. And then, she saw it, behind her back in the frame. Through the dark window, a pale face slowly emerged. The face was pressed against the glass, empty eyes staring straight into the camera. It was the face of a young girl, pale, with long black hair flowing down. The expression on her face was full of sadness and anger. Emily stared intently at the face on the screen, trembling all over. It was clearer than what she had seen in that fleeting moment last night. It looked very real, but also very surreal. The footage continued to record the terrifying face for a few seconds. It stayed there, looking straight at the camera, as if it knew it was being recorded. Then, right at the moment Emily screamed and threw the phone. The screen shook and the footage ended. Emily sat there, staring at the phone screen, where the terrifying face had just appeared. Undeniable evidence. The horrifying moment had been recorded. She wasn't crazy. Something evil had been outside her window last night, and it had looked straight at her through her phone camera. This truth was more terrifying than anything Emily could have imagined. The footage recording the terrifying face behind the window completely changed Emily's life. She could never forget what she had witnessed. Fear haunted her constantly. She shared the footage with a few other relatives, and also with the police. However, their reactions varied. Some believed her story, while others were skeptical, claiming it was fake footage or some kind of trick. The police couldn't do anything, as there was no physical evidence at the scene. Emily knew she couldn't live in that house anymore. Every time she looked out the window, she saw that terrifying face in her mind. She always felt watched, even when in the safest places. She decided to sell the house and move elsewhere. Although she loved the house, the fear was too great, she couldn't bear it. While waiting for the house to sell, Emily delved deeper into the history of the house and the surrounding area. She searched for information about strange incidents, local ghost stories, mysterious disappearances or murders in the past. She found a few notable stories about strange things reported in that area many years ago. About houses said to be haunted. About shadows seen at night. One story in particular caught her attention. About a young girl who died tragically in that area many years ago. Perhaps in an accident or murder. Her body was found near a small creek not far from Emily's house. Emily shivered reading this story. Perhaps the face she saw was the face of that young girl. Her spirit was still lingering here, haunting this area. And perhaps she saw Emily. Why did that spirit appear and stare at her? Why through a phone camera? Perhaps she simply was in the wrong place at the right time. Or perhaps the spirit was drawn to something about Emily. The truth about the face behind the glass remains a mystery. Emily never got a definite answer. She managed to sell the house and moved to another place. In another city, she tried to rebuild her life. However, the haunting remained. Every time she looked in the mirror, she remembered that terrifying face pressed against the glass. Every time she used her phone camera, she felt a chill, fearing that face might appear again in the background. The footage of the terrifying face has been saved by Emily. It is evidence of something supernatural. Something evil that she experienced. She shared the footage online, on a video platform, to warn people about what might be hidden in the darkness. The footage quickly went viral, causing debate and fear online. Some people believed the story. Others remained skeptical. But whether they believed or not, no one could deny that the footage was very gruesome and difficult to explain. The legacy of that fateful video call is eternal fear. The haunting memory of the face behind the glass. It is a reminder that, even in the modern age, with all our technology, there are still things beyond understanding. There are still trapped spirits, evil things lurking in the darkness. And sometimes, we accidentally stumble upon them through the screen of our phone. And we never truly know what is staring back at us from the other side of the glass. If you enjoyed these true horror stories, or stories based on alleged accounts and recorded evidence, like this, don't forget to hit the subscribe button on the channel to follow our latest videos. We will bring you more terrifying and haunting stories. Thank you for listening.